Hello everyone. This is Jen with Jen's Den Art. I am here today for our April Fun Focus. Let me make sure I am live everywhere. I have to hit this. There we go. Come on in and say hello when you get here. We are working today on drawing, okay? You don't really have to know how to draw to be a part of my membership because I do provide templates for just about every single possible painting that we do. However, there are a lot of people, hi Lynn, hi Tracy, there are a lot of people who don't have a printer and they just want to learn how to draw first before they actually start painting. In April, what we're doing, hello Linda. In April, what we're doing is we're painting barns. Our focus is barns. Okay, we're going to look at all different types of barns, how to paint that old barn wood. And we're going to look at when we're painting, sometimes when you're painting, you want to add some windows or some doors that are not necessarily a part of the original photograph that you might be using. You might want to make it your own. And so in order for you to get those doors and those windows and those angles of the roof and all of that, in order to get that the way you need for the perspective to be right, you have to know a little bit about perspectives. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to take it really simple. We're not going to go into a lot of detail. There's two main perspectives that we use a lot in my membership, and that is 1-point perspective and 2-point perspective. I already have detailed videos on both of these, but today I'm going to use a barn to show you, and I've actually done a barn before, but it's probably been like 3 or 4 years since I've done an actual video or a tutorial on how to do it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at a couple of different barns that we may or may not be painting in the membership this month. And I'm going to show you how to make sure you don't have to know how to draw. You don't have to be extremely accurate, but I'm going to show you how, when you're painting with your paintbrush and doing that loose look, I'm going to show you how to make sure that your angles are correct to make your roof look right, to make your, if it's a house, it doesn't have to be a barn. It could be anything. It could be different kind of structures. But since April is our barn month, then I thought it would be appropriate to use barns to show you how to draw all these things. So I am going to change the view for y'all to see what I want you to see here. And I have a picture of a barn at the top right that you can see here. Okay, so let me organize myself here because I have all different kinds of papers that I'm going to use for drawing. I printed out a couple of different barns. And the first thing that I want you to learn from this, I'm trying to hide the glare from my glass top. So that's why I have all these papers out, because we're going to be using them to draw with anyway. So just trying to get that glare off. I know it looks a little yellow. That's because the paper actually is yellow. It's not white paper. It's some kind of paper that I have that's mixed media paper, I think. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this over because that's got a mess on it. I'm just going to tape these two together. I think I only need 2 at a time. Okay, so what I'm going to do in order to do this is I'm going to need a pencil and I'm going to need a ruler. And I'm going to bring this up a little bit so you can see, and I'm also going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. Okay, so I'm not going to draw that particular barn right away because I want to talk to you about a couple of different things. One of them is 1-point perspective. One point perspective is, it can be used in any type of situation. It does not have to be a building. Okay, some of y'all have probably seen one point perspective being used, like, I'm just going to give you an example. Maybe you have a row of trees, and here's your trees, and they get bigger and bigger as they get closer to you, and they're smaller as they get further away. So, like, this might be the furthest point, and then you have all of your trees here. Okay, so that is an example of one point perspective. And basically, you see that little point there? That is it's what they call your vanishing point. Okay, your vanishing point. Not only is it called the vanishing point, but it is also your line of sight. It is also your line of sight. So if you were a person standing up, this would be the actual line of sight. That would be the level that you were actually looking at. Okay, so if you look at a couple of these pictures here, this one here is an example of a 1 point perspective. Okay, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to bring it in some. Let me get a white or a different colored marker. Let's try this. So when you use 1 point, you don't use 1 point perspective that often on buildings, but I'm going to show you just one example of this barn. You see this area right here? This is basically a horizontal, like a perfect rectangle. Okay, all of the corners are 90-degree angles. Okay, this would be an example of using a 1 point perspective because you have a horizontal flat surface that you're starting from to be able to draw your 1 point perspective. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute. There is another perspective that we're going to look at that's probably going to be more common in our paintings and all of the work that we do. It is called 2 point perspective, and it's exactly what it says. It's got 2 vanishing points instead of 1. Oops, sorry, y'all. 2 vanishing points instead of 1. And when that happens, I'll show you this one right here because I really like this one. When that happens, you notice that there is not a straight rectangular square or whatever it is. There's no 90-degree angles in the face of the barn. Notice that you've got a slant here. Okay, you've got a slant here, and you've got a slant here. And not only that, but on this side of the barn, you've got a slant here, and you've got another slant here. Okay, so when you're working with 2 point perspective, your focus to start from is the corner. This is where you start with your drawing. Okay, so I'm going to show you some more about that. And we're going to look at drawing this barn using 2 point perspective. And we're going to look at drawing a similar barn to this with 1 point perspective. This is just another example of a 2 point perspective. You can see here's the corner of the barn. Here's the corner of the barn right here. But then look at these angles. You've got this angle. You've got this angle. But then you have another set here. You've got this angle right here from the peak of the barn to here. And then you've also got this angle down here at the bottom of the barn. So basically you're looking at the faces, the side face of the barn, the front face of the barn. And that's how you know whether it's a 1 point perspective or a 2 point perspective. These two right here are 2 point perspectives. They're a little more advanced. So that's why we're going to start with a 1 point perspective, and we're going to work our way to the 2-point perspective. Okay, so let's say I want to draw something like this, all right? Or let's say I'm painting. Let's go ahead and start drawing this. Let's say I'm painting a painting, and I decide I want to paint something like that. I'm going to start with a square surface. It doesn't have to be square, it could be rectangle, just so its corners are like 90 degrees. I know I'm not going to be extremely accurate, but I'm going to try my best. Okay, so this is let's say this is the front of my born. Okay, and I want the born to go to where I could see the side of the born. All right, so what I'm going to do is, let me zoom out just a little bit. Hello, Bobby. Hello, Linda. Hello, Pat. Hello, hello. I am going to create this from nothing, basically. All right. I am going to say that my vanishing point, you can choose where your vanishing point is. Okay. So I'm going to say that my vanishing point is, let's say, about right here. Because of this drawing, this purpose, I'm going to just put my vanishing point right here. Sometimes your vanishing point, and I'll show you on this one, if I had to figure out where my vanishing point was, I would use these angles right here. See this angle right here? I would use that angle and draw a line as far out as I can. And then I would use this angle down here and draw the line as far out as I can. And wherever they cross, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to extend this paper out. Wherever they cross, you see that angle right there? Wherever they cross, that is your line of sight. That is your actual vanishing point. Okay, so this would be the vanishing point for this born. That vanishing point makes all of the difference in all of the angles for the rest of your painting or for the rest of your drawing. For example, you see this right here, this. Now that a born has more than one peak on a roof, so it's a little more complicated. But if this were a house, you could see that the peak of the roof, this angle right here, also goes to this vanishing point right there. Okay, so every single one of those angles go all the way to that point. And that's how you know how to get your angles correct for your doors, for your walls, for your windows, all that kind of stuff. This is not the best example, but I think you kind of got the idea there for that. All right, so let's go back to this one. Let's say I'm just going to draw my own. You can make the born, let's say we're doing a born, and you can make the born as long on the side as you want. So we're just going to play. We're going to draw some lines from the top corner of the front of my born. I'm going to draw it kind of light. And from the bottom corner of the front of my born. And that, my friends, has just created the side of the born for me. Okay, that is what I know is the side of the born. Now, I'm sorry, I don't know why that came on. Now, do I want the born to just be this big? I can put a straight line right here, and I can erase all of this. All right, and then that's the side of the born. Or do I want the born to be, let's say, this long? Maybe I want it to be that long. So I'm going to erase all of this, and you can see I just made my born a little bit longer. All right, but that's the side of it right there. So let's go with that. Let's say that's what I wanted my born to be. Don't erase that vanishing point because it's still going to be used for other things. Okay, here's another trick for you. I want to find the top. I want to make my born as high as I can, whatever I want. I'm just going to go up here. Let's say I want it to be here. But I'm not sure. Is it here? Is that the center? Is this the center? I'm not really sure. Well, this is the easiest way to find the middle. I'm going to take my front side, and I'm going to create an X. And the point of intersection is the center. Okay, so it would really work better if I had a straight edge that had like a 90-degree on it, like even like another piece of paper or something like that, where I could put it down and I actually have a 90-degree here. I need to buy one of those rulers that has that angle in it. And then you can go up as far as you want, however far you want, and that's going to be the center of the top of the barn. Okay, then from there, if you want just a straight roof, then just draw your two angles there. Okay, so that's the front of the barn. You would erase this. You don't have to have that anymore. And now we need to come up with the roof and the angle of the roof. So from the top of this building, I'm going to continue to use this same vanishing point, and I'm going to draw the top of the roof. Now, you don't have to draw the line all the way to the point, but that is going to be the line that you're using. Now, how far does this line go? Well, if I do this and I make the roof go like that, you know that's wrong. That's completely wrong. That doesn't look right. You can already look at it and see that, okay, this is not right. So you know that there has to be an angle right here, but what is the angle? The angle is the same angle that you have over here. So whatever this angle is right here, this angle here on your barn has to be the same. So we're just going to basically just estimate from the back of the barn. We're going to go with, that looks like that's about right. We're going to go with that angle there. So these two, I know I'm not perfect. These two should be parallel to one another. They should have the same exact angle right there. Okay, so there's my photo. There's my picture. That's what I wanted. What if I want some windows on the side? Okay, well, some people just want to draw a window like this. That's totally off. The perspective is completely off. So how do you draw your windows? Again, the vanishing point is used. I'm going to say the top of my windows are going to be about right here. So I'm going to put one end of the ruler on the point, and I'm just going to make one big window. No, let me do two so you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to have one window here and one window here. Okay, and remember, if you learned anything about perspective in my courses, the closer you are, the larger the object is going to be. So this window is going to be a little bit bigger than this one. Okay, the bottom of the window is going to also be from the vanishing point. Let's make it about square. And so we're going to have the bottom of the windows are going to be like that. And then we're just going to go straight up and down on the sides. And that's my windows. Okay, what about a door? Let's say we want to do a door and we want it to be kind of small, not too big. I'm going to draw my side. And let's go about right here. I'm just estimating that. But what is the angle of the top of the door going to be? Again, we're going to go from our vanishing point. And this one almost looks like it's straight across, but it's got a little bit of a slant to it. And there we go. We've got our door. Okay, so that again is 1 point perspective. The reason why it's a 1 point perspective is because everything I'm doing is I'm going from 1 point. Okay, my one vanishing point is right here. The front of the barn is a perfect square or a rectangle, meaning that the corners are 90-degree angles. So that makes it a 1-point perspective. So that's one example of drawing a born using 1-point perspective. Hello, hello, Jane and Yvonne and Bobby. Yes, so let's talk about this a little bit more. Maybe you are not into drawing all of this stuff and you're painting. You're taking your paintbrush and you're like, let's pretend this is really big. I'm painting, I'm doing my thing. And I transferred the template. Okay, I transferred the template over, but as I was painting, I covered up the template and I don't have the template anymore. Or maybe I never even transferred the template. Maybe I drew it and then I lost it or something. Well, while you're painting, you can still create all of these correct angles. You may not be able to have the vanishing point on your canvas because the vanishing point can easily just be somewhere out in space a little bit further. But once you have the idea of where the vanishing point is somewhere out here, then keep that in mind. And then you can take like a string, or you can even take like your paintbrush and you can say, okay, I need the roof to be about like this. I need the bottom of the roof, which we didn't even talk about right here. The bottom of the roof is going to have that same angle as well. Okay, they're all going to be pointing to that vanishing point. Every single one of these is going to be pointing to that vanishing point. All of these horizontals here. Every single one of them. All of these. I'm just showing you again so you can remember. Okay, so you can just kind of use your judgment. It doesn't have to be perfect, but at least it would give your painting a more unified and correct look. I'm going to show you one of my paintings that I painted. And if you didn't know any better, you did not know that this perspective was off. So here's a painting that I did, of course, during Christmas time. Okay. I pretty much just kind of made it up myself and I just went with it. But now that you know what you know about 1-point perspective, this is an example of 1-point perspective. Do you see anything wrong with my painting? Do you see something that would make it not win an award if I were submitting it in an art contest? Does anyone see anything that would make it not as good as everybody thought it was? When you just look at it at first, you're like, oh, this is an awesome painting. I love it. It's beautiful. But look at this, y'all. Look at my perspective. Look at this. I'm going to draw on here because this is off. This is completely off. Look at here. Okay. I'm going to use this pink. I'm going to go off the board here. Look at this roof angle here. I'm going to keep it, extend it further. And look at this roof angle here. It's completely off. It should have the same exact slant as the top one here. It's just totally off there. So that is an example of another situation where your 1-point perspective is off. So this is the edge right here of the barn. And so if you look at it like that, you can pretty much see that this angle right here should have been totally the same angle. Like it should have been like this. Or this angle needs to be less and it needs to match this one right here. See, so maybe I should have gone down even further right there. But these two angles should have been the same. Okay, they should have been going to the same vanishing point. All right. Okay, so now let's look at the fun ones. the 2-point perspective, and I'm going to take some more paper. Let me see if I can just turn this over. Yeah, let's turn this over. And I'm going to go with this one. It's kind of big though, but we're going to try it. I'm going to put it right here. Let's say I don't have a printer and I can't print this out, and I want to draw it to look like this, and I want to paint it however big you want. It doesn't matter. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify our 2 points, our 2-point perspective. Now this one's going to be really difficult because this angle right here is super, it's not really slanted. So we really can't even see unless I make the picture smaller. We really can't even see the point. Or maybe I can add another piece of paper right here and keep on going with my line. If I keep on going with my line, they will eventually cross, right? They're eventually going to cross way over here. See that? So sometimes your vanishing points are way off. And then on this side, I've got this angle here. I don't know if these are going to cross. Yes, these are going to cross. These are a lot easier. And I've got this angle here. So here's my 2-point. Can y'all see all of that? Let me back up some. Okay, so that's my 2-point perspective there. Okay, look at this. Look at everything that is happening from there. Okay, you've got your angle to your roof right here. Look at this angle up here. And look where it goes. It goes straight to the vanishing point right there. Okay. And that's basically the main ones there that I was looking at. So look at all of your, or even this little port right here, all of these windows. It's kind of hard to see because this one doesn't have much of an angle right here. All of these windows in the front right here, they all go to this vanishing point over here. Now this side over here, the edges of the window, look at this window right here. That slant right there, that slant right there, that slant right there. I know it's kind of hard to measure it, but they're all going to this vanishing point. The top of the door has the same slant. It's going to this vanishing point. Okay, so what if I wanted to draw this barn and I did not have all of that information that I just showed you? So I'm going to say, I'm going to use my own 2 vanishing points that are a little more accurate for our work area. Okay. So I'm going to go up here just a little bit. I'm going to put 1 vanishing point over here. And let's use this vanishing point right here. I'm going to erase all of this. And we're going to start. So basically, we're going to start with the corner. I'm going to use this line right here. We're going to start with the corner. And you make it as big as you want. Okay, so that's the corner of the barn. That's what you need to start with. So the side of the barn is going to go to this vanishing point here. The top of it and the bottom of it is going to go to this vanishing point here. And then you make the side as big as you want. All right. I'm just making up a barn. It's not, we're not actually drawing the exact barn. Okay. And then this side, I've got the front of the born, or yeah, we're going to call it the front of the born. So it's going to go to this vanishing point there and this vanishing point here. And I'm going to make it, let's make it kind of square. All right, so you can erase all of this. And this is basically the front, and this is the side. All right. Now, how cool is that? So you can kind of see our view of the born is kind of, this is our eye. This is our eye level here. Our view of the born is kind of up and to the side. All right. So where's the top of the born going to be? I'm going to take, I mean, it could be a house. It doesn't have to be a born. It could be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to take my X, and here we go. Here's the center right here. All right, straight up. That's the center right there. So then I'm going to go up. I'm going to go about this high up. Okay. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make the sides based off of, let's go with this angle here. Going to make the sides. Now this is a born, so we're going to try to make it have some little angles in it as well. Just a little bit. All right. So we're going to do it a little bit different than the photo. So you got to kind of estimate where it's going to go. Not everything is going to be perfect. See, 2-point perspective gets a little more complicated when you start doing it. And then if you have the top of the roof, then you're going to go all the way over here to the vanishing point. And that's going to be the angle of the roof. And then we're going to make the angle here, this angle here, the same angle here. So we're going to kind of make it like about like that. Now, what if you wanted to draw like not just windows? What if you wanted to put a bunch of wood, like the wood slats? Again, every single one of these wood slats on this born is going to go from this vanishing point. So let's just put some in there. Now this is getting really, really specific. So the angle of every single one of these, I'm making them really big so that you don't have to sit there and watch me draw every one of these, comes from that vanishing point. And that's how you know how to make your wood slats for your painting. See? And then what if you want the front to have the wood slats as well? Well, you're going to use the vanishing point for the front. So you're going to do the same thing this way, or maybe you want a door and some wood slats. And then you're just going to keep on going and going and going all the way through. And maybe we decide we want a big door. So the door is going to go right here. There's my sides. But I want to put those wood slats, those horizontal wood slats. I just keep on going. And I just don't fill in where the door is. Now, this is really specific. We usually don't, our paintings are not this specific, but it's a good guide to help you in your painting process. Like, look at that. You see how much that's going to change? We do a lot of borns and buildings in our membership. And when we do them, if you can find your vanishing points and you're trying to add a door or you're trying to add a window. Ooh, it's really bright, isn't it? Let me turn this down. Oh, there we go. That's better. And what if you're trying to add a window or add a door that's not there and you want it to have the right perspective? So you're not going to want to add a window like this, because then you're going to look at look, I mean, you can already see there's something wrong with that. That's not right. It just makes everything off. So you know that in order, when you're painting your window, when you're putting your window in, you've got to have that angle that matches with what you were doing. And then make sure that same angle stays like for the whole part of the window, the top, the bottom, the sides, all of that kind of stuff. So that's how you get your perspective right when you are when you're working on a painting. This one here, these two are very similar. I obviously like those old Borns with the peak on the front because I was just looking for different examples to show y'all, and I happened to pull up something that's very similar here. So when you look at this one here, you can see again, I'll go over it with you again. This is a 2-point perspective because you've got 2 walls, and the 2 walls that you have, both of them are slanted. One of them is not a front face 90-degree wall. So you just go from the top of the wall to the bottom of the wall, and you can get your vanishing point. And from that vanishing point, that's how you know how to put all of your angles. Now, this is such an old Born, it's kind of hard to see the really good angles here. But all of those angles, like right here, you know that if you want to draw this opening here, you know that the bottom of the opening has to have this slant here that goes to this vanishing point. Okay. You also know that your roof here has to go to the vanishing point. Well, this one's what makes Borns a little more difficult is because you have more than one slant in your roof. You have little extra. It's not just a flat roof like that. You have like all these different angles to make the roof different. So it makes it a little more difficult to follow it with the top of the Born there, because these angles right here, they are not vanishing points. Okay, that's just the angles that were created with the roof. The only ones that are the ones that are all the way in the top right there, the side here that ends the side of the Born, and then the bottom here. So that's basically what you're looking at. All of the other ones are just kind of like, well, let's just make that angle about there, you know? So you can't really follow it for every single thing, but you can follow it for the majority of the pieces. Even this angle right here would go straight to the vanishing point. That little angle right there on the side would go straight to the vanishing point. So I hope this helps you in your drawing journey. It's a lot of fun, and you don't have to be a drawer to be able to make your paintings have a little perspective in them correctly, because we've had a lot of questions about that. Like when people are trying to draw their own, maybe their house or some kind of building, or they're just making their own paintings, and they'll post it in the Facebook group and they'll say, my perspective is completely off. Like my roof looks all wonky. Why does my roof look so wonky? It doesn't look like it fits on the house, you know? And so these are the kind of things, these techniques and these little tips are the things that you need to be able to understand to be able to get that right perspective. So I hope this helps all of you. We are going to be, I'm going to come back on the screen really quick. We are going to be painting all types of barns this month. I have, let me see if I can find them. I have chosen, I don't know if I have them saved on this computer. I have chosen some of them. No, I don't have them saved on this computer. We have a red barn, an old red barn that we're going to paint. We have, oh, here's one. Now, this is not the right picture, but it's one of them. It's not the photograph that we're going to be using to paint, but I think this is it. That's one of the barns we're going to paint. It's an old white barn with a silo, and we may make it more spring instead of winter. I don't know. I haven't decided yet how we're going to do that. But this week, Monday and Tuesday, we are going to be painting an old red barn. And I don't have that picture on there, but it's going to be super fun. I'm working on it this weekend. We have really bad weather coming this weekend, so I have a feeling it's going to be stay inside paint type of weather. So I'm going to have some fun. Watch my stories, y'all. My Instagram stories and my Facebook stories. I have been sharing a lot of the stuff that I'm doing on a daily basis, even my gardening. I've been sharing that on my stories, and it's a lot of fun. So come on over, and you get to know me a lot better in my stories because I talk about a lot of things that I don't normally talk about when I come live on here. And so it's a lot of fun if you want to get to know me better and see what my life is all about, and start following me. I would love that. One last thing before we go. Elizabeth Rhodes Studio and I are hosting the Large Supper acrylic art and glass and resin project. And it starts this, when does it start? April 7th. When is April 7th? That's a few days away, right? I'm going to try to get the link for it. Get URL, copy URL. Nope, that's not the right one. Hang on. Copy URL. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's Monday. Yes, Monday. So we are going to be painting this together in a private Facebook group. It is $25 to join if you have not joined yet. We're going to be doing 2 days of acrylic painting and 1 day of glass and resin art. We're going to show you how to put the glass and the resin. And it's going to be a 3-day event, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central live. If you can't make it live, it's okay. You have 1 year of access to the replays. So come and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a very special project. We hope you come and join us for this fun project. Also, if you are a DIN member, VIP DIN member, and you are listening right now or you're watching the replay, please be reminded that normally we go live at 6 on Mondays and Tuesdays to paint. We are going to be going live at 2 in the afternoon this Monday and Tuesday because I have that other workshop to do later on in the evening. Okay? So I just wanted to remind you of that. And thank you all for being here. And y'all, we start New Technique Wednesdays next Wednesday too. So get ready for that. You're going to start seeing more of my face on here over the next few months. And we'll see you soon. Thanks for being here. Bye.